In the heart of Lahore, where the city lights shone like scattered stars against the velvet night, lived a young woman named Aisha. She was graceful, soft-spoken, and radiant with a beauty that came not only from her delicate features but from the kindness of her heart. At 25, she carried within her the miracle of life, a child growing in her womb. For Aisha, this child was her world, her hope, and her prayer wrapped into one fragile soul. But fate had tied her to a man who did not deserve her devotion. Sami, her husband, was handsome in a hollow way. His charm was for the world, not for her. His heart had been corrupted by greed, lust, and the whispers of another woman. What had once been sweet promises and tender words during their courtship had curdled into cruelty. Sami was entangled in an affair with Nadia, a woman who fed his ego, whispered poison into his ears, and demanded that Aisha be pushed aside like a withered flower. Nadia's beauty was sharp, her smile venomous. She had no love for Sami, only desire for his wealth and the illusion of power he carried. Aisha, though broken by his neglect, never complained. She carried her child quietly, praying for her husband's heart to return, believing that love and patience could heal what had been lost. But love cannot bloom in soil poisoned with betrayal. One night, when the shadows grew long and the air was heavy with silence, Sami returned home in anger. His mistress had accused him of being weak, of being tied to his useless, pregnant wife. His pride wounded, he stormed into the house where Aisha waited, her hands resting gently on her stomach. "Why are you still here?" he spat, his eyes blazing with fury. Aisha looked up, her eyes soft, weary but full of love. "This is my home, Sami. And I carry your child. Where else should I go?" But her words only enraged him further. In a blind rage, he reached for a stick lying in the corner of the room and, without a thought, struck her. Once, twice, again and again, each blow fell not only on her fragile body but on the life she carried within. She cried out, pleading for him to stop, shielding her unborn child with trembling hands. Neighbors later whispered about the sound of her cries, the cruelty of a man who had lost his soul. When the night ended, Aisha lay crumpled on the floor, bruised and broken, yet her spirit, though battered, did not shatter. She was taken to the hospital, her life hanging by a thread, the child inside her fighting to stay alive. The brothers. News of the assault spread like wildfire, carried on whispers and sobs until it reached the ears of three men, the CEO brothers of Malik Industries. These were not ordinary men. They were giants in the world of business, commanding respect and power wherever they went. Known as Zion, Hamza, and Raza Malik, they were feared in boardrooms and admired in society. But beyond their wealth and power, they were something even greater. They were Aisha's brothers. When they arrived at the hospital and saw their sister lying pale and frail, tubes running from her body, tears streaming silently down her face, something inside them broke. Zion, the eldest, clenched his fist so tightly that his knuckles turned white. Hamza's voice shook with suppressed rage as he demanded to know what had happened. Raza, the youngest, fell to his knees beside Aisha's bed, holding her hand, his tears wetting her skin. Through cracked lips, Aisha whispered, he beat me, for her. For Nadia. The words sliced through the brothers like knives. In that moment, they swore an oath, not as CEOs, not as businessmen, but as brothers, that Sami would pay. And not just him. Nadia too. The revenge begins. Revenge, when fueled by love, is not reckless. It is calculated. The Malik brothers had built empires from the ground up. They knew how to dismantle lives with precision. Their first step was silence. Sami and Nadia believed Aisha had no one to protect her, that she was weak and helpless. They continued their affair openly, mocking her behind her back. Sami even boasted in his circle of friends that his wife was nothing, that soon he would divorce her and marry Nadia. What he did not know was that every step he took was already being tracked. Every phone call recorded, every meeting photographed. The brothers hired the best investigators, hackers, and lawyers money could buy. Piece by piece, they began to build a case so strong that it would shatter Sami's world. The fall of Sami. Sami had always been careless with money. Greedy, desperate to maintain a lifestyle beyond his means. The brothers exposed his corruption, his illegal deals, and the way he siphoned funds from Aisha's dowry and her family's trust. Documents were leaked to the press, anonymous tips sent to authorities. Within weeks, Sami's business accounts were frozen. His so-called friends abandoned him. His name became a stain in the business world. Then came the public humiliation. At a lavish party hosted by Nadia, Sami walked in proudly, believing he was untouchable. Suddenly, the screens lit up with recordings, his voice threatening Aisha, laughing with Nadia about beating her, mocking the child she carried. Gasps filled the room. Cameras flashed. Within minutes, the story was everywhere. CEO's husband exposed for beating pregnant wife for mistress. The outrage was fierce. Society turned against him. Nadia tried to flee, but the brothers had already prepared her downfall. The mistress's fate. Nadia prided herself on her beauty and charm, but the brothers knew her weakness, vanity. They exposed her lies, her affairs, her manipulation. Photos of her with multiple men, videos of her mocking Sami behind his back, all went viral. She was not a seductress anymore but a laughingstock. Her modeling contracts were cancelled. Her friends abandoned her. Brands pulled her endorsements. She went from adored to despised in a matter of days. When she tried to turn to Sami, he pushed her away, cursing her for ruining his life. But the Malik brothers were not done yet. The final blow. Weeks later, a court case opened. With the evidence the brothers had gathered, Sami was charged with domestic violence, financial fraud, and attempted murder of his unborn child. The trial was brutal. Aisha, though fragile, appeared in court, her brothers supporting her on either side. When she stood before the judge and revealed her bruises, her tears flowing, the courtroom fell silent. Her words were simple but powerful. I carried his child. I loved him. And he chose to destroy us both. The judge's gavel came down hard. Sami was sentenced to 25 years in prison. Nadia, exposed for her part in the schemes, faced her own punishments, bankruptcy, social ruin, and exile from the glamorous world she once ruled. Healing. As months passed, Aisha slowly healed. Her child, against all odds, was born healthy, a little boy she named Rayyan, meaning, Gate of Heaven. Whenever she looked into his innocent eyes, she felt her strength return. Her brothers, once consumed by rage, softened whenever they held their nephew. They promised Aisha that Rayyan would never know the pain of betrayal, only the warmth of love. Aisha rebuilt her life. She became the director of a foundation for abused women, giving her voice to those who could not speak. Her story became a beacon of hope. And the Malik brothers. Their revenge had been swift and merciless, but their true victory was not in Sami's downfall, it was in Aisha's survival, her strength, and her new beginning. The world shocked. The tale of the woman beaten by her husband for his mistress, and the ruthless revenge of her three powerful brothers, spread far and wide. It was told in whispers and headlines, in boardrooms and homes. Some saw it as a warning to men who betrayed their wives. Others saw it as a story of justice, of love between siblings that no cruelty could break. But for Aisha, it was simply the story of a woman who had been broken, but who rose again, stronger than ever. And every night, as she tucked little Rayyan into bed, she whispered to him, "You are my strength. You are why I survived. And you will grow in a world where love is stronger than cruelty."